How's it going, everyone? This is Frank Cavone, and we are live from the office. This is episode 7 of From the Office. Thank you all for tuning in. As all of you know, you can listen to From the Office and the Kinda Live, Kinda Living podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. You can see it live on YouTube, and now you can see it live at the same time on Facebook. Here with my main man, Billy the Kid LeRoux. How you doing, man? It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. I think it's been like over a year.
The last time I saw you, we were shooting bald eagle photos at somewhere in like Cohoes area, one of the locks after the Hudson River. And
no,
you're
wrong. The last time that I saw you was we were up in Lake Placid on the top of Whiteface Mountain.
That was the last time?
That was the last time.
I gotta say, that was quite an experience, and I'm happy we ended up going. So basically, Billy's a professional photographer.
I wouldn't say that.
I think so. Yeah, you take some amazing shots all across the board in every area, but in this specific instance, we went back up to the Whiteface Mountain in Lake Placid, New York, for the second time. The first time we went up there, it was so cloudy you couldn't see anything. And then we went back up and it was clear, and it was cool because it was both in the fall. We were getting different shots each time we were up there, and honestly, I love the cloud coverage because I've never been on top of a mountain when the valley's completely covered.
Right.
So just on the topic of fall and just shooting photography, foliage, you've been out shooting foliage. I saw a bunch of your photos online, and how's that been going?
The foliage trips this fall were very interesting. I was a lot of what I've been doing for the last year during the pandemic.
Yeah,
is kind of searching out places that are less inhabited. Okay, and I find myself typically just taking rides out in the country. Okay. One particular day, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do when I leave the house either. I'll get in the car. I have no idea what direction I'm going to go to.
right.
I get in the car, and whatever feels right is what feels right. So I just like to take a ride up Route 30, okay, through the Adirondacks. And this particular day, I went west out to past Amsterdam to Little Falls, okay, and then I took from Little Falls up to Route 10 and up to Old Forge and up that way.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I've never been there, okay, so up that way. So, yeah, this particular trip, I brought my drone, okay, and I don't use my drone as much as I'd like to. But this particular trip, I do what I normally like to do, is just to really kind of capture the trip. Okay, the things that a lot of times I'll drive by things that will catch my eye that would probably not catch the eye of most people driving down the streets. So I present a kind of a broad spectrum of a trip. Okay?
And to support that statement that you just said, we were going pretty fast down the road on our way back from Lake Placid, and we look over, and across the river on the other side of the road between a bunch of trees, you see this coyote just sitting on the side of the road.
Yeah,
I'm like, how did you spot that?
It was out of the corner of my eye. It looked like a wolf.
So you're just constantly scanning through when you're driving and just picking where to come back, or you're stopping right then and there, taking the photo?
Yeah, I'll stop on a dime,
Okay.
I like to, kind of capture not only just the foliage, okay, but, things like old cars, old rusty cars, okay, relics of the past, old gas station signs, old gas pumps. Things of that nature.
And the thing is, with that, some people might look at that as, all right, this is just why should I photograph this? There's no glamour to it. But in 50 years, when that stuff's not around, that's gonna be I don't know. People will be finding a trend to look back to, or just, I mean, just treasuring old timeless classic things.
Yeah, I think that, for me, growing up in Saratoga, okay, I mean, I grew up right smack dab in the middle of between SPAC and the racetrack, okay, and growing up in Saratoga, people that live there, grew up there, have a sense of history, okay, because it seems like Saratoga's heyday was back in the 30s and 40s with all the great hotels. Okay, if you look at old pictures of Saratoga, the hotels, the Grand Union Hotel, the U.S. Hotel. Most people who live in Saratoga have photographs
That
from
stuff.
those days gone by. And there was a photographer in Saratoga whose name is George Bolster,
Okay.
who was a giant influence on me, who photographed Saratoga during that era. And most Saratoga people that are actual Saratoga natives you'll find that in their homes will be a George Bolster print, okay, that he did. And it was all in black and white, but he used to hand color them with crayons, okay, or colored pencils.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay, so if you go into somebody's home in Saratoga that are native Saratoga.
So he would print the photo, then color it in.
Yeah, because it was black and white back then. There was no
I've
color.
never heard of anything like that before.
George Bolster.
He started that?
I don't know if he started, but he did it.
He did it.
And,
Okay.
it became, it's a much sought after type of an art piece in Saratoga. But getting back to the point, I have a strong sense of history. Okay, old things that I kind of gravitate towards that. And I like to, photograph things that are on the way out, okay? Just so we can capture it, forever. So I find myself seeking out mid-century stuff, old motel signs, okay?
Yeah.
Neon old motel signs, huge, giant. One of the things I did take a trip down to Wildwood, New Jersey, about 2 months ago, beginning of September. You ever been down there?
I went once to Wildwood for a family vacation back in the day, and it was really cool as a kid, just, the boardwalk and everything. And
Wildwood, New Jersey has the largest concentration of mid-century motels, okay, and neon signs than anywhere in the country.
Really?
Yeah, it's... if you look into it, I read an article where they describe Wildwood, New Jersey as a cross between Las Vegas and Palm Springs, California. And based on my 2 trips to California in 2019, they're dead on. Absolutely. I went down there and I spent 2 days nonstop taking photos of motel signs.
And what's the main road in California that features all of those old abandoned hotels?
I don't know. In California, I'm not sure.
I didn't know if there was like a straightaway that of just like a desolateness that.
Oh, you're talking Route 66.
Route 66.
Yeah. Oh boy, yeah. That's. I did do some Route 66 stuff while I was out there, and it's. That's one of my primary goals is to do more of that.
More of 66.
Yeah, I'm gonna fly into Phoenix next trip out, and start there and head to New Mexico.
Nice.
And Utah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fly in, drive out.
Fly in, rent a car, drive for like a week, just bopping around.
So let's take it back. What was the thing that made you want to put a camera in your hand? And how old were you when you started shooting?
Okay, great question, and I definitely know exactly. I have the answer for you. When I was 14, maybe 15, I was up in Saratoga at the racetrack with my grandfather. And my grandfather at the time had a Canon AE1, okay, which was the camera to have.
Okay.
And we were at the track, and Aladar and Affirm were racing in Saratoga. Now, Affirm just had won the Triple Crown and had beaten Aladar 3 straight races by a head in each race. Great match race, Aladar and Affirm. And we were in the clubhouse or near the clubhouse gate. My grandfather, the horses were in the paddock and they were getting ready to walk out onto the track. And my grandfather handed me the camera and told me to sneak under the fence and run out onto the track and get photographs of them as they were coming out onto the track from underneath the clubhouse.
Holy moly.
And I did. I took the camera, snuck under the fence, walked out onto the track, and took the shots. Okay, they weren't that great, but they were what they were.
Yeah.
Okay, but I got amped up on the idea of sneaking under the fence and going out there and doing that and getting.
So going through that process of taking a risk to get could be a once in a lifetime photo or just a memorable photo.
That was a once in a lifetime shot there.
I mean, you can't go on the track and shoot these days, can you? I mean, I know you can go inside on the Saratoga.
Most people can't, but
yeah.
you know.
When you got 50 miles an hour horses running at you.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're shooting photography, growing up, inspired by what surrounds you.
Which is SPAC music, okay, and the horses at the track. So
yeah.
And also.
And that's the great thing about Saratoga Springs is a lot of people go there for the track. At SPAC, there's just across the summer, there's just so many different bands that play. Repeat bands that come every single year, like Dave Matthews, sometimes Phish. I mean, Dead and Company's coming every time. Yeah. There's more of the life than jam bands, but that's just what comes to the top of my head. Is Dave Matthews, and for those who do appreciate just Broadway and just the area itself and the elegance it presents, Albany's nothing like it. Lake George is nothing like it. There's nothing like it and everybody know. And I mean, it hosts one of the biggest races of the year in horse racing. Now, you're influenced by all this stuff. Did you go down a path where you were shooting only horse racing, or now that you had the camera, the Canon E1, you said?
Well, back then?
Yeah. But was there a gap of time from there to present day?
Oh my God, there were 2 gaps.
2 gaps.
There were lots of gaps. Yeah, a lot of gaps.
So what got you back into photography? When I met you, we met at Adirondack Independence Music Festival 2018. I didn't know you were coming. I didn't know who you were.
Right.
But it was one of the best times best times ever, because it was just like we had my shitty ass Saturn parked behind backstage, and I was working the festival. You were there shooting. Sarah Baruch was there, who also was another fellow photographer. Shout out Sarah. And Doug, of course. And we were just hanging out, kicking it, having a couple beers, and just shooting the shit. Like, it was
I walked in and I saw you, and I knew who you were, but you didn't know who I was. Okay, and I had come to know who you were based on the photography that you were doing. Okay, and the Palace Theater stuff that you were doing with Mo. I'm like, I saw a shot of Mo that was taken from behind the band, looking out at the crowd, where I was there. I think I was in the second row.
Yeah.
But I'm like, who's this kid shooting from the back behind the drum set? I'm like, so that kind of, I'm like, who is this kid? And I kept seeing your stuff. So I kind of, these glasses, oh God. So I found out who you were. I'm like, so hey, Frankie, I know you. So gaps. Yeah, I did. I did a lot of music photography back, prior to 2000.
Okay.
Okay. In and around Albany, Valentine's, the old clubs, Valentine's, the Brew Pub over in Troy, Brown's Brewing, the Revolution Hall. There was Artie's River Street Stage in Troy.
Okay.
But I was at that time. We were shooting on film. Okay, and it got to be to the point where I was spending probably $300 a month.
Just on rolls?
On film and processing.
Wow.
Okay.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. So I was shooting a Canon, and I sat it down. And at that point, I got a Sony Handycam camcorder, and I started shooting video. So there was a long stretch where I just was shooting like bootleg video all over the area. And
That's
I got
so cool.
Probably 700-800 hours worth of videotape of music in clubs at that point. And at that time also was doing a show on cable TV on public access that was based on those tapes. So that went on for quite a long time. And it wasn't up until probably 2017.
Wow.
I mean, not very long ago, where I got back into the photography.
So what cameras were the tools that you were using when 2017 started? And what else was I going to ask? What were you shooting when you just got back into photography?
Okay. So what really got me back into photography 3 years ago was cell phones. Okay. I started fooling around with the cell phone, and I learned a lot of the post-processing capabilities, and I said to myself, you know what? Let's get a camera, because you don't have to buy film anymore.
Right.
You don't have to pay for processing. So what I did was I bought a Nikon kit, like $600. I'm like, good, $600. We're in, you know.
Yeah.
So I started shooting I bought the kit was a Nikon D3400 with 2 lenses. I thought I'm good to go. Well, it spiraled from there.
So okay, when you're buying a kit lens, just D3400 Canon TI series, and you're using a variable aperture lens when it's 3.5 to 5.6.
Yeah.
When you were shooting film, was the noise performance better on film than a digital, or was it like, okay, I'm shooting at 5.6 ISO 3200 now, and this is still going to be better than what I would get using a film camera?
They'll tell you what, the difference between the film and the digital capabilities far exceed the what film was doing.
So do you find it not annoying, but sometimes I'll get into it in my own head thinking like, oh, I need this, I need that. When you're getting like little micro gains to what you're doing, like I don't know. I feel like the hype for cameras, especially now more than ever with the release of mirrorless cameras, is gone out the roof, because it's like you can't make a wrong choice when you're buying a camera in 2015 and up.
Yeah, well, you can, and I did.
So what didn't you like about it?
Well, once I started using it, I realized that there was capabilities that it didn't have that I wanted. Okay, one of which was cable release function. There was no port for that. Okay, so but I went from the D3400 to 7 months later buying a D7200, just for that purpose.
Okay. Because you can do off tripod off the no finger on the trigger shots.
Long exposures, that type of thing.
Okay.
And then, as I started doing other types of photography, more specifically, birds and bald eagles. Okay.
Which has become quite your specialty.
I spent a lot of time doing that, because I'll tell you, the opportunity to do so where we live is phenomenal.
Well, that's the thing. No one would think that there is so many bald eagle nests in the general area of upstate New York.
I can't believe that the Mohawk River between Schenectady and Mechanicsville, okay, and more specifically the Cohoes area, I can't believe that somehow that's not a wildlife refuge. The amount of volume of birds in that area is phenomenal, and I took you over there a few times.
Yeah.
And we could see bald eagles within a matter of minutes.
A matter of minutes, literally.
A matter of minutes, and more than most typically, you see them before you even get out of the car.
So for the people who would like to shoot bird photography, what is the best time to go and seek out these shots, especially bald eagles and big birds in general?
Boy, I'll tell you, it's I typically will go out first thing in the morning. Try to catch them as they're feeding, looking for fish. But early in the day, late in the day. It seems like in the middle of the afternoon they're kind of resting. But so when I started doing that, I mean, I went from, I had to get a long lens, so I bought the Nikon, the 2 to 500 millimeter lens,
Which is not cheap.
Which isn't cheap. And then I wound up this year I bought the D500 that you can get 10 frames per second on. Okay, that wasn't cheap either.
No.
So, but well worth it. I love it. I love both pieces.
So you're shooting bird photography, but you're also at this point I met you through shooting live music. Was Adirondack Independence Music Festival your first concert back shooting, or were you when did you start shooting concert photography again?
I really didn't. I haven't spent a whole lot of time doing that. I mean, I did some stuff, but really not much. I mean, it really kind of isn't my thing right now.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so you're actively shooting, and would you say that the elements around you in upstate New York present you to have this now wide variety of shots that you're able to get in all different sectors?
Yeah, it without a doubt. In 2019 when I took 2 trips to California, because I'd never been to California before. Okay, always wanted to go, had an opportunity to go, went out there, and everything that I thought California was when I was growing up here, that I've learned from TV, everything that I thought it was all that and 20 times more. I mean, Southern California, for me, I mean, it's the promised land. It is so awesome. And, when I went out to California, I spent a week straight of just, taking shots, everything. And Southern California really kind of grabbed me, okay? When it became time to leave, I didn't want to go. And I'll tell you, when I went to the airport, my legs got heavy. I was walking towards the airport, and I felt like I had weights on my feet.
Really?
I didn't want to leave. It was really weird. And when I got back to Albany, glasses, I got in my car, turned on the radio, and what came on? That video that we just watched.
So the video that so Billy showed me a video prior to starting the podcast. What exactly is the song and relation to the story?
Yeah, it's a performer. Her name is Kelsey Liu, and the song is Due West, and it's a song about getting as far away as you can go and going to California. And
wow.
It was ironic that as soon as I got back in the car, I turned the radio on, and that song was on, and it just hit me. I'm like, wow. So something's pulling me to California.
And you said you still want to go back. I gotta say, I haven't traveled before February. It was a while before I hopped on a plane, just because it's being busy, just doing Mirth Films and this freelance stuff, and then family things that have happened over the past couple of years. I've done most of my traveling on ground throughout the Northeast, all down to Washington D.C. at some points. But I went to California with my mom in February, literally a week before all this happened. We were getting on the plane and they were shutting down borders.
Oh, wow.
And but I never seen. I mean, I've been there to see the West Coast before because of Judge Judy, but when we went there specifically to enjoy ourselves. We went to Northern California, but before we stayed in San Francisco, we drove down US 1, and it was some of the best sights I've ever seen. Yeah. And I feel what you're saying, the energy that going out west, and exploring and not just staying in Hollywood,
I didn't
Venice Beach.
I didn't go to L.A. or Hollywood until my second trip. I mean, the first time I went out there, I went straight out to Palm Springs and right out to Joshua Tree for like 4 days.
See, I never knew. This is how bad I am with geography sometimes. I always thought it was just the name of a U2 album.
You know what? I thought, to be honest with you, I thought it was one tree.
Just one tree.
I thought the Joshua tree was one tree out somewhere. That was the Joshua tree.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought. I mean, what did I know?
Right.
But yeah, Joshua Tree National Park is beautiful.
It's just there are a certain type of trees out there, right?
Yeah, it's yeah, I guess. Yeah, there's a certain kind of tree that grows out there in the desert.
Yeah.
But if you dig around, like Graham Parsons spent a lot of time out there.
Okay.
After he actually died on Joshua Tree.
He's a musician?
Graham Parsons?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Graham Parsons was the Cosmic Cowboy back in the early 70s.
Okay.
He was in the Byrds briefly, but yeah, he's
Cosmic Cowboy.
Cosmic.
That's a nickname that early Grateful Dead had. But so you're out he's out on the West Coast playing.
He was playing. With the Flying Burrito Brothers. He played with Emmylou Harris a lot.
Okay.
He was hanging out with Keith Richards, and they wrote Wild Horses together.
No way. Oh, I think you told me the story.
This guy was he wrote country music in a way that nobody's ever written country music. It's more like the New Riders of the Purple Sage type stuff,
Oh, okay.
Pedal steel, but this real kind of, you can almost hear Jerry Garcia playing a lot of Graham Parsons music.
Wow. And were you listening to Graham Parsons before you went out to California, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's great musician. I mean, he overdosed in a motel out there when he was like 27 or something like that.
Oh, yuck.
But that's the way it goes when you play with that kind of fire,
Yeah, no, that's true.
But California, Palm Springs, Joshua Tree. Need to get back there.
Definitely.
Pronto. So.
Absolutely. Now, as far as just what type of stuff have you been shooting since impact of COVID? Have you just been going with the seasons, or?
I just whatever comes my way, basically. I don't have a plan. I don't have a specific goal. I've been doing a lot of just driving around. I mean, I drove to Syracuse one day to photograph a neon bowling sign.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, that's a good way to get yourself out of the house and not go stir crazy, right? Or?
Yeah, there's a what's the name? It's the Flamingo Bowling Center out in Syracuse, north of Liverpool. There's a sign from the 50s there that looks like it should be in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And I drove out there specifically to photograph that sign. And then, we kind of meandered back through Syracuse and found some other stuff, some murals. And then we stopped by the Green Lakes State Park.
Okay.
Been there?
No, I've never been.
Huh.
Nice.
Water's turquoise like in the Caribbean.
Holy shit.
It's unbelievable.
Now, what causes that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Some sort of calcification type of a thing. I don't know. But the water, check it out. Green Lake State Park, right outside of Syracuse. Water's turquoise. Looks like it's in the Caribbean. We stopped there. It was really neat.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then, shoot over to Cohoes Falls, at the drop of a hat, but I haven't been over there in weeks. So, but.
Yeah, and I mean, and how's the drone flying going?
I think I've flown the drone just the one time out.
Really?
When I did,
okay.
Yeah, when I was up in the Adirondacks.
Which, I mean, it was nice. This foliage season, just because of how warm it was and no rain, we had a longer period of time. I was kicking myself. I didn't go I didn't go until like the last couple of weeks just because I was like.
It went quick.
Out my years busy. Like but luckily, whenever I made it up there, it was because of like a job. So I was like, all right, if I'm up here, I got to do something. I would really be upset with myself if I just left.
Right.
But no, it's definitely, one thing I miss the most about just shooting photography is the act of just shooting and having fun and doing it. Because that's one thing. When you trade off and you're doing it freelance, you're doing it for a career, it's like you don't want to do it sometimes because you're just, I don't know, sometimes stressed out for how much you shoot. And like shooting video, it's like, God damn, it's even double now.
To be honest with you, to tell you the truth, I shot so much horse racing in 2019 because I was shooting for Saratoga Living magazine. I spent so much time shooting horse racing that I really don't know if I'm going to shoot horse racing ever again, if not for a long time. It burned me out.
Yeah.
You know, so and it got to be not fun. You know.
Well, yeah, when you're, you have so much on the line getting that one shot, going home, yeah, editing's fun, but when you have, you're shooting 10 frames a second, you have probably 1,000 plus photos from the day.
Oh my God, yeah.
It must, and then you have to work, and it's like, God damn.
I was, as you know, I work at night, driving a tractor trailer. I would work at night, get home at 10 in the morning, lay down for 2 hours, jump in the car, go to Saratoga, shoot the horses, the races, go home, edit for an hour and a half, upload them to the magazine, lay down for an hour, and go back to work. I did that for like 5 weeks. It burned me out entirely.
Wow.
So I don't know how.
So spreading yourself thin is not.
I don't know how I did it.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth. So.
Well, if there's any positive from it, the cool thing is you have this wide array of shots that you got, not only from shooting the photos during the race, but even like when you took me at like 6 in the morning when everybody's getting ready, those candid shots that you'll never see unless you're there when the horses are getting pulled out of the barn or I don't know. I that to me was just as much fun, if not more fun, than the actual shooting of
the
horse racing.
The mornings are real nice up there, no doubt about it.
Everybody doesn't have their coffee in their body yet.
The mornings are nice. It's very peaceful, you know.
And it's dead summer, so it's not freezing.
Yeah.
Now, going into something else we're going to talk about today, and that's just talking about a little bit of early '90s Phish and just and where the band was playing, your experiences, and I definitely growing up, they as some of you already may know, there's 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 era Phish, which certain people will go by, which is based upon the band's either breakup or hiatus. And, to me, I'm just happy to see the band. I love them. I can always listen back to the old stuff. And I have been really diving into just 1995, the year of Phish, some 94. But before that, before they really made it into big arenas and amphitheaters, they were playing circuits just like all these jam bands that you're seeing today are playing, and you had the opportunity to see Phish in their very growing years. Where was the first time you ever saw Phish?
The first time I saw Phish was at UMass Amherst in a gymnasium. Okay, and it was 1993.
Okay. And I had never heard of Phish. Somebody told me about Phish. I was at a Grateful Dead concert down in Albany at the Nick, and tickets went on sale at the Palace Theater for Phish playing at the Palace Theater. And somebody mentioned it. I'm like, "Who's Phish?" And they're like, "Oh, Phish, you got to check them out." So, back then, it was '93. It was pre-internet days. There were, what was happening, a lot of tape trading was going on. So I began to ask around, and one of my good friends up in Saratoga, magnificent Mike Hogan in Saratoga, was well versed in Phish. Had quite a bit of hey, quiet down there. I used to bring a case of Maxell XL2 tapes up to Mike. Yeah.
And drop them off, and then a week later I go back and he'd convert them. He'd make copies of Phish shows for me. My entire Phish collection, tape collection, came from Mike Hogan up in Saratoga. Mike, I love you. And I began listening to them. I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm like, all right, yeah, okay.
What were your first impressions of listening to the band?
That's what it was. It was like, okay, yeah, okay, okay. I'm like, okay, okay. It just was like that was my first impression.
Okay.
Okay, so then I'm like, well, I'm gonna go check them out. So we went to UMass Amherst and got in. Band comes out, opens up with Runaway Jim, and within a minute, I went, okay.
Got it.
It went from okay to okay. Right? And I said, these guys are geniuses. I love them. I'm like, right off the bat. The minute you see them live, you're like, oh, right, that's what it is. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
it was UMass Amherst, 93. First song, Runaway Jim, for 20 minutes or something like that. It was great.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And then I went from, listening to all the tapes that whole summer, following their tour, which was, going all over the country at that point. And then my second show was the 93, 94 New Year's Eve show at the Worcester Centrum.
Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, and then 94 was, I was all on board at that point. And I think I saw 25 to 30 shows in 94.
In 94.
Yeah.
Now, were you at? I just have to ask because I've just been listening to the show. Cincinnati, 94.
No.
Okay.
The furthest I went to see Phish was Penn State, in State College, Pennsylvania, which is 8-9 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
And we went out there with no tickets. Me and a friend of mine, and we got out there, and they were sold out. And I'll never forget it. We were driving like through the town or whatever, and we were driving. We had a van at the time too. We were driving, and Trey was like walking down the street, just like, "Hey Trey, how you doing?" He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I mean, he was just walking around.
Down to earth.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" But they used to just go out and hang out at that point. But anyway, we got tickets and at State College. Penn State. Let me see, where else did we see him? It seemed like at that time that Phish played within 3 hours of where we lived in Albany here every weekend. That's what it seemed like. I mean, it was Providence, it was Hartford, it was up in Maine, Binghamton, Buffalo, Albany. It was somewhere. Within 3 hours, they were playing almost every weekend. It seemed like it was like that way, but Lowell, Massachusetts.
So 94, big year for the band.
Yeah.
They played their first, New Year's at a big arena, TD Garden.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden debut, musical costumes.
Yeah.
Summer tours.
Big ball jam.
Big ball jams. So, okay, let's start off with the big ball jam.
Okay.
What was the big ball jam? Where did it happen?
The big ball jam that I saw, I guess there weren't.
They don't do this a lot. They've done it like twice, right?
I think they did it like twice, 2 or 3 times. But it was the big ball jam. I saw it in Providence.
Okay.
And they had big balls, giant, huge rubber balls that you would see. You really wouldn't see them anywhere, but they were giant, huge rubber balls, and I think they filled them with helium. Okay. And there were 4 balls, and each ball was associated with a member of the band, and they would why does this keep going? They would when they threw them up into the stadium. Okay, so when they would float, and when they came down, when people would hit them, a member of the band would play their instrument. So it was Trey playing the guitar and Gordon playing the bass based on where the ball was in the amphitheater.
So was this happening mid-set? Was this happening?
Jeez, I don't remember when.
How did they start off the set playing with the big ball jam? Or?
No. It was. It seemed like I don't remember when it was. All I remember.
It's a pretty monumental thing for the band to do at this point.
It was out there.
Yeah.
It was one of those out there things that they used to do. But I saw that in Providence. The other thing that I saw that was a couple of rare things was they only did 2 Gamehenge sets. Okay, one was in California, Sacramento Crest Theater, and the other one was at Great Woods, Massachusetts.
What is that now? DCU? It's Worcester. They changed Xfinity Center or something like that.
I don't know. It'll always be Great Woods.
Great Woods.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we had gone out there. We were there hanging out. Didn't have tickets. In the parking lot, and went up to the box office here to see if I can find some tickets. And there was a girl standing there by herself. She's looking. I could see she's got tickets in her hand. And she's looking around. I said, "Hey, you got extra tickets?" She goes, "I'm waiting for my friend." So I kept looking at her. And 15 minutes later goes by. The band starts playing, and she's still standing there. Her friend never showed up, and she walked over to me and handed me a ticket. Just gave it to me. So I got a free ticket.
Got miracled, yeah.
I got miracled to, one of the Gamehenge sets in Great Woods. That was awesome.
Actually, now that you bring that up, Phish does Dinner and a Movie. I don't know if you it used to be every Tuesday they would play but they played that show.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you saw it? Okay.
Yeah.
So before we get more into it, what is Gamehenge for the people who don't know, and the importance of it?
Okay, so Gamehenge is when Trey Anastasio, the guitar player, was at college at Goddard. He was a music major. His senior thesis he had to write, and he wrote this saga of music that was entitled Gamehenge, and it was a series of specific songs in specific order that he wrote as his senior thesis. That, from what I understand, wasn't well received by his professor. Okay, but nonetheless, it's been well received by his audience. But they'll play some of the songs throughout the course of the years, or their tours, but never in exact order. They've come close a few times, but from start to finish, they've only played it twice.
Wow, that's incredible, especially because, at least from a younger Phish fan's perspective, I remember chasing a lizards and being like, when am I going to get this? And finally getting it, and then getting it a few times after that. It was pretty special to hear it, because it's like, in any other perspective, when you're going to see live music, many bands play the same set, and where Phish, of course they play a different set every time. We all know that, but especially hearing a song that they don't play in 5 years, I don't know, like people get so hungry and think so much into what they're going to get, because they want a Colonel Forbin's Ascent, they want the Fly Famous Mac, they want to hear Catapult, and there's probably, if you I don't know, it kind of ruins the experience sometimes if you think that way, and like, all right, and just instead of just being like, let them just play, and who cares if something happens, something happens.
You know what's really funny? I just got a text message from my buddy JB Bowman, who lives out in Arizona. Okay, who that during that course of the time when I was just listening to Phish tapes after the first time I saw him that summer into the fall, I was working for Lois all the time, but we went to I had to go to a sales meeting out in Arizona, and I met my buddy JB like a week prior to the meeting, and we drove around Arizona listening to those Phish tapes. Me and my buddy JB. I guess he's watching right now. So
okay, hey, what's up, JB?
JB, how's Arizona, my friend?
Yes.
JB Bowman, old Texas.
J Bowman. So okay, so you're at the show. How much did you know of Gamehenge at this point? And what was the crowd excitement like?
It's great. It was packed at the time. I mean, it was '94 was a great year to go see them. I mean, it was everything was just, they were just gelling, man. Like the point where they were on a rocket ship, man. They were on a trajectory that was, upward, flying high, and but it was still kind of raw. It was funny because you can hear songs just starting to come together.
Yeah.
You may have heard them like a song like 10 times, but now they're really starting to come together. And the difference between the beginning and the first time you heard it and the 10th time was significant.
Right.
It just happened. So, But it was really good. Yeah, great woods. Sugarbush Mountain that year. They played Sugarbush up on the mountain. That was a great show up in Vermont. I remember driving up there.
Wow. And that's something the band barely does. Is the last time they played in Vermont was Coventry. Sorry, they played the Hurricane Relief benefit in 2011 at the,
Champlain Expo Center.
Champlain Expo
Arlington,
Center.
yeah. Where else did we see them? They were playing places like the Orange County Fair down in Middletown.
Oh wow. Okay.
They played a ski center down in Putnam County, over near Brewster. There was a little ski mountain. They played there. Lowell Memorial Auditorium up in Lowell, Massachusetts. They did a fundraiser for Gloria Steinem that year, and it was like a pop-up show. They announced it like on a Tuesday. It was a Friday. It was like a 3-day, and they say that was probably the hardest ticket ever to see Phish. Was the Lowell Memorial Auditorium show, because it was announced like on a Monday or Tuesday, and they played like Friday night. So
wow.
it was a pop-up benefit. And the only way that you got tickets, because the place only held like 2,500 people, but the only way that you got a ticket was if you were in the know. And somebody called me and said, "Hey, I got a ticket." And I go, "Oh, absolutely, let's go."
Wow.
So
this...
that was Brett Roker, by the way, from Saratoga.
Brett Roker.
Brett Roker.
Okay.
Thanks, Brett.
Awesome. Now, I got a question for you, just because we're in the general area. Were you at Halloween '94?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So Halloween '94, Phish played the Glens Falls Civic Center, covering the Beatles' White Album, playing till close to what, 2 to 3 in the morning?
It was more like 4 o'clock in the morning.
4 o'clock in the morning.
It was late.
So what was it? I know it was super hard to get a ticket. What was the environment like on lot prior to going into the show?
It was Halloween '94 in Glens Falls it was much like what it was in any other venue. It was just the same 4,000 people that you would see the week before. I mean, it seemed like there was the same 4,000 people at every show at that time. Okay, it seemed like you see the same bands, the same cars.
Yeah.
It might have been the same 4,000 people every week, but it was awesome. It was great.
That's sick. Now, are you a Beatles fan?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What was it like to see some songs in more mainstream rock and roll being played by the band?
They played the Beatles' White Album pretty much just like the Beatles would play the Beatles' White Album. It was really good, and it was the thing that stands out about that show that I thought was interesting was I believe it was at the end of the first set. Was it at the end of the first set that Fishman got naked on stage?
So, yes, that is something that happened. He got naked. What do you think it was? He was just having
I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but it was the thought that popped into my head. I thought it was funny, okay, but the thought that came to my mind was, they're going to arrest this guy. He's going to get arrested and put in jail, because he literally took his clothes off and pranced around stage, blowing bubbles.
Only John Fishman.
And then they took their break. I'm like, is he coming back out? Did he get arrested? What's going on? But it was Halloween was a big show. It was very late, very, very, very late.
Did everybody stay throughout the whole night?
Oh my God, yeah.
No one trickled out.
The buddy of mine that I went with, who was the buddy who went to State College in Pennsylvania with, Jimmy Coynes from Boston Spa. Jimmy Coynes, I haven't seen him forever. He was, I'll never forget it. People were partying pretty hard that night, and my buddy was sitting against the wall out in the lobby, just kind of head down. It was late. He was tired. And when they played War Pigs, he jumped up. He's like, "War Pigs!" He went from looked like he was passed out to "War Pigs!" jumped up crazy. But,
So was he not? He didn't get it. Was that it? Like he just didn't. He didn't know the music for Phish?
he knew the music.
Oh,
he was partied out.
He was partied out.
Fucking
Okay.
Partied. That was late. It was partied out.
And that happened during the Harpua, right? Or
I don't remember.
okay, yeah. No, I just I distinctly remember that, and I don't know. That is such an amazing show on the band's just list of great shows.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you return in 2013 to see them again at the Glens Falls Civic Center? Or?
Yes, I did.
Oh man, what was it like?
Bad night. Bad night. And it was a great show.
Yeah.
But it was a very bad night. Bad things happened.
Oh no.
Very bad things. I don't really want to get into it, but it was a bad night. So
now, what do you enjoy about seeing from the band now? When you were at SPAC 2019?
Boy, what do I like now? I'll tell you, they, and I was thinking about this before when I came in because I was listening to a Grateful Dead tape on the way in here, and Phish rarely has a bad night. Okay, they don't have the fluctuation of bad shows and good shows the way that the Dead did. The Dead could be really bad and really good. Okay, but Phish is the gap. I mean, they don't have a bad night. They rarely ever screw up.
Now, I've heard that about the Grateful Dead, and what makes a bad show? Is it just
missed notes, bad guitar playing, lousy voice. You know, I mean, it could be any combination of those things.
Wow.
Bad energy, just, being fucked up.
Yeah.
Towards the end there, Jerry was kind of fucked up a lot. So, but much like the Coventry show.
Yeah. I mean, one of the best glides ever.
Yeah. So,
do you like how Trey's songwriting has changed since getting sober? Or
I think it's the best that's happened, and whatever is comes of it. It's I noticed. I saw a couple of days ago. He's the Beacon Gems. Looks like he's putting on some weight, which is good. Yeah. So.
Those have been awesome. I've watched only one live.
Right.
They did a Ghost of the Forest night.
Right.
He has the Rescue Squad strings.
Okay.
They just put out. They did a composition of Yem.
I saw that last night.
You saw it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
The breakdown when he goes, boy, like I liked it, that breakdown jam more than the band's version, just because the funkiness of the clav from the Milkman and Russ Lawton. It's just very like what's his one song? It's like very Cayman Review where it's loose and just I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. Can I tell you a secret?
Let's hear it.
I'm not a big fan of Yem.
Not a big fan of Yem.
No.
For what reason?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you the reason. Okay. I'm not a huge fan of the vocal jam at the end. I just don't like it.
It is different.
It was something they could probably do without at this point in their career.
Yeah.
They could play Yem without the vocal jam. I think the vocal jam is just garbage. That's my honest opinion.
Now, do you
it's usually when they start playing, I head for the exit at that point. So.
Do you think it's things like that detract people who don't have a deep understanding of music to not like the band? Or like the Silent Note and Divided Sky?
That's
or like,
phenomenal, by the way.
You like the Silent Note?
Absolutely.
Because it is amazing.
Because if you know
energy.
the reason for it, there's a specific reason for it. Okay?
Yeah.
And, he learned that from Carlos Santana. Carlos Santana taught him that. Okay? And you know what it is, right?
What is? It's not the crowd screaming, right?
It's the pause in Divided Sky, and Trey learned this while they were on tour with Carlos Santana. Is Carlos told Trey that he needs that he should feel the energy of the crowd with the people around him. Okay, so when they do that pause, that's Trey and the band. I mean, they're closing their eyes, and they're feeling the energy of the crowd. Okay, and it could be the crowd, the applause, or sometimes the crowd is less enthusiastic, but that's what they're doing. They're feeling the energy of the crowd at that point, okay? And he'll do the pause for as long as he needs to do the pause. And then, so, I mean, that's the reason why. So, yeah, that's a...
That's a Carlos Santana thing.
That's Carlos Santana told him how to do it.
Wow.
Told him that's what he should do, to feel the crowd, feel the energy of the crowd.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it is cool hearing that for the first time and being like, everybody is not just screaming, but just like for what could be a minute sometimes.
Yeah.
It's nonstop. Yeah, it is cool. And I love those quirky things about the band. And I think that's where it's like I didn't know, just how silly that song is.
Yeah.
Where maybe when I first started listening to them, I was like, okay, AC/DC Bag, Free, 46 Days, very rock, just because I was coming from a rock and roll background, raised listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan, Led Zeppelin. But when I finally was able to get to like a fluff head and be like, understand the goofiness, and finally going to a show, I was like, the first show I ever went to, we got a Yem, and so I remember looking at my friend and being like, what the fuck's going on here? And this vocal, I didn't know it was a vocal jam, but these guys screaming on stage. And then a song like Kung. And we're just super weird. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And but then it just like, okay. It helped me that they played the Grange that night, because it was like, okay, I know this music, and these guys do too, and this is rock and roll, and but it's completely different, because I also never experienced what Shakedown Street is. I went to see Further in 2011, but I didn't get it. It was just there to, party,
Right.
which a lot of people go to see Phish or Dead and Company for, is they go for the party, and then once you get it, it's like, okay, that's where it's like the hunting the songs, the enjoyment of being with your friends at the show, and just like picking up a couple, cheap beers on lot, and just enjoying yourself. It changes as long as you change, because you can only party so much when you're out,
When I go see Phish, I like to party.
You like to party?
I party more than I typically party. That's the place to party, as far as I'm concerned. And it's funny, because you were talking about, there's some things that are real unique about the band. When you go to see a show, now these days, it's become an event. Okay.
Yep.
For example, the Glens Falls show, the most recent one, I went with a friend of mine, got tickets. Okay, he got like 6 tickets, and he invited 3 of his fraternity mates from Syracuse that never seen the band before. Okay, so I'm here with my buddy, and then 3 guys that have never seen the band before, and I'm like, okay, this should be interesting. And when the band comes out, starts playing at the beginning, everybody's dancing, everybody's, at the first few songs are, everything's bopping.
Back in the USSR.
Everybody's, having a good time, and you can see these guys, they're kind of they're out of their element, but they're trying to, get in the groove, but they're really not in the groove, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's one song that always separates the men from the boys, and that's Split Open and Melt. And they played Split Open and Melt up in Glens Falls, and it got deep and dark. And I watched the looks on their faces, and they were like, they went from bopping around to just like that Bart Simpson, like fading back into the hedges type of a thing. They got scared, because that can get pretty dark.
It can.
That Providence show, where they did the Big Ball Jam.
93.
That I saw, 93. They did this, there was the Secret Language, and they were playing a stash, and they played a note, okay, that show, that when they hit that note, everybody that knew the Secret Language laid on the floor, okay? They went, boom, and everybody that knew it literally fell to the floor. And if you didn't know it, you were standing there looking around at everybody laying on the floor. It was the funniest goof ever. It was, I mean, literally like half the crowd just went,
That's funny.
and people were like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But that was it was pretty fun. Yeah. But,
Wow. So now, I guess, I don't know, what, with everything going on and just not being able to see shows, you're going back and listening to old tapes now, or you, what do you just...
Man, I am
wide
so like thin right now with my time. I mean, I'm just, I'm just doing a lot of work. I'm working more than I want to work.
Yeah.
And it's, working, sleeping, back to work, and then, just trying to like recoup. I need to, I got to step back from work a little bit. As you know, I had a heart attack in July. It was a small one. Didn't have surgery, had a stent put in, but yeah, I just, I'm trying to free up more of my time.
Yeah.
To do things that I like to do.
Which is, getting back to California in the winter and
Yeah, it's
you got a van now.
bought the van, yeah, like a few weeks ago, but a 95 GMC Vandura with 8 cylinders, 21,000 miles. Great, like, yeah, that's gonna enable me to travel a little bit more, do some overnighters, camp out,
Yeah, do some overnighters.
Yeah.
Travel the road, go see the band.
Yeah, I don't, it's hard for me to go see shows. It really is.
Yeah.
It's just with the way my schedule is. But
I'm sure, I can imagine. Yeah.
but if I got a night off and the band's playing, I'll go see them. But I typically, recently in the last 10 years, it's been SPAC for me. That's it.
Which have been great shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Year in, year out. I thought SPAC 2019 was a solid 2-night run.
Yep.
Just, I don't know, that Carini Tweezer Reprise
I
opener.
love Carini.
And then the night you went, I think you said you went night 2, Fluff had To Boot.
Yep.
We got the Llama that night.
Yep.
What else? Sneaking Sally through the alley in a second set. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And you were inside the venue for that one.
I was like third, fourth row for that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is it like? Does you feel any more, like, I don't know. Do you feel your nerves when you're that close to them or no? Because to me...
Do I feel what?
Like, when you get close to somebody you idolize, it's like...
No, it's not like that at all. I mean, it's when you... It's funny because when I got to my seat in 2019, I got to my seat and literally like 4 seats to my left was my buddy Mike Hogan from Saratoga, who hooked me up with all those tapes, and his wife Lona. Well, I mean, I see them everywhere. They go to all the shows. I mean, Mexico, everywhere. I mean, they're deep.
Big fans.
Yeah. And then to my right, across the aisle, like 3-4 seats in, was one of my best friends when I was like in 7th and 8th grade, Sean Conley. Okay, Saratoga people,
Yeah.
And it was fun. When you get down there and you see people, but I mean, it's fun. It's cool. It's laid back. Everybody's having a great time.
And bringing it back to Saratoga, it's just that type of community there, and culture that I feel like that would happen.
Yeah.
It's not like you're getting all these out of towners. There's a reason why people go back to Dave every year. People go back to see Phish every year, and it's things like that.
Well,
you feel like you're at home when you're there.
I'll tell you. Well, my buddy who gets the tickets for SPAC, all those seats down there, you got to know somebody to get those seats.
Yeah.
And typically, the people who get those seats are people from Saratoga. So, and growing up there, it falls into your lap. Boom. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
good
about
to see,
knowing people.
It's good to see all the people from Saratoga that we grew up with down there. Down in the first few rows, section 1 usually. So.
Hell yeah. And I mean, with Saratoga being such a you're not going to say cultural, but just but it has a wide variety of things to do. Is there still things you want to cross off the list with photography in the area, or I mean, you don't have to say. But-
I'll tell you, but next up on my list, photography-wise, is and the thing I didn't get to do this year that I love doing is I love jumping on the train and going to the city, and going down to Manhattan and doing street photography. Didn't do any of that this year. Haven't been in New York since this whole thing started. I want to go down to Coney Island and Brighton Beach. I want to go. I want to first go straight to Brighton Beach, down there. The next town over from Coney Island. It's the largest concentration of Russian people in the country live in Brighton Beach. All the street signs are in Russian. All the stores are, Russian writing and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, I want to go down and hang out and capture that.
Well, that's awesome, man. At least you're still conceptualizing, and you have things you want to do, including the California trip.
The 2018, I usually, when I was going to New York, the city, I was going down to the city every month, I mean, it's just with everything happening, just nothing.
Right.
So, but yeah, I love going down to the city, spend the whole day down there.
I've only been down once this year, and still the same crazy place.
Well, I'm down there every night, but I'm driving the truck, I'm zipping through. I'm going on Long Island every single night.
Yeah, you were saying
I cross over the Triborough Bridge. I take the Cross Bronx Expressway. It's a freaking zoo. I mean, the middle of the night, it's nuts, but I'm going over the bridge and I look over and I see the skyline. I'm like, I just want to stop and go over, But
so hopefully sometime soon,
we'll see,
definitely take some, take the time off you can. Just get those gears.
It looks like we're spiking up again here with this COVID.
We are spiking up,
so
and
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, just play it safe, and at least you have the things that are around you, like shooting bird photos. Yeah. And there is a lot of abandoned places up here that do have old architecture that, I'll be honest, I would much rather shoot old architecture than a brand new building any day of the week. Yeah, there's just a charm of it. It has personality. It was from a specific time, and it really just, I don't know. I think it adds to the emotions of a photo, absolutely. Yeah. And especially like seeing your road sign photos from Route 66 and out in California. If you don't travel, you're not going to go and get those things where you're like, oh wow, I want to shoot photography like that. Well, half of it's just going there. Yeah, yeah. But that's a big leap.
When I went to Wildwood in September, I went there specifically to do the motel signs. But there's one motel down there, okay? It's called the Caribbean Motel. Okay, and if you look at it, pull it up online, it looks like the remember the Jetsons, like the cartoon, the Jetsons. Yeah. It looks like the Jetsons house where they fly into the building.
Wow.
It's like that weird kind of space age design.
Geometric shaping.
It's like and it looks just like the Jetsons place. But that whole style of architecture, I kind of did a little research into it. It was developed in the 50s when people started driving cars more, and for the first time that people and their families had cars, and people were traveling for the first time for vacations, and they developed the advertising executives designed these like flamboyant signs and neon signs to get people's attention as they were driving for the first time. Okay. So it's when I was in Wildwood, I thought I was half expecting Jackie Gleason to pop out of a car, of a Cadillac, and say how sweet it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was beautiful. It's really a lot of fun. So
that's awesome, man. Well, I hope we can get together again soon. And if there is no spike, even just me now and going shooting like old times. Yeah. That again, that's my favorite thing to do is just go out and shoot because you got to find fun in it first.
Yeah. There's Cohoes is 10 minutes from here, and I'm gonna go over.
It's just about my ass waking up early.
Yeah.
But no, it's honestly great to see you, man. It's been such a long time, and I'm definitely gonna not go this long again because the whole year, holy crap. That's the thing. It's like everybody seems so close when you're online and on social media. Everything you might feel like you've seen this person yesterday, but you haven't. Right. Yeah. And it's just great. Nothing beats human interaction. That's for sure.
Time is flying.
I just want to say Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep.
It's going to be coming up.
So, yep.
And just thank you again. You're welcome over anytime to chat.
Like the new studio.
Thank you so much. This is where I live because I don't ever leave this computer sometimes, unfortunately.
All right.
But it was great seeing you, man.
Good.
This has been episode 7 of the From the. I gotta stop and say this. Now that we're doing 2 podcasts, I fuck up the intro and outro sometimes. But this is episode 7 of From the Office. We're with my man Billy the Kid LeRoux, and you can listen to this on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and live on YouTube and Facebook now since it's working on Facebook. No more Facebook premieres. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll be back next week for 2 more episodes of From the Office. Thank you so much.
Out.